I've been fascinated for a long time by the moment, it's kind of a long moment period from the 2nd to the 4th centuries when the Codex, the book form we're familiar with, gradually overtakes the scroll. And looking backward, the Codex seems to have so many advantages, we're surprised that it didn't win out sooner. It's bound more safely, it holds a great deal more text, it's easy to look things up, it's easy to carry it around, it's easy to identify it by writing something on the cover. All of these are advantages that are much harder to find with scrolls. And yet it's clear that it took more than technical advantage for the scroll to win. There were, I think, two things it had going, for the Codex to win, two things it had going for it. One, we're now understanding that Romans really liked codexes. They liked them for notepads, they even liked them for books by the end of the 1st and 2nd centuries AD. We're learning more and more about this. And Romans seem to have thought that there was something Roman about this form of pages or sometimes blocks bound together as a book. So that's one reason we think why it began to spread. But the other thing that happened, I think, is that it was useful to Christians. And Christians were arguing about texts. They were arguing about which texts were the right ones. They were arguing about what the text meant. They were trying to keep the texts when there were authorities who wanted to confiscate them. For all those reasons, the Codex was just a lot handier than the scroll. So I think there was a kind of general cultural push from the fact that this was a Roman kind of book, but I think there was also this particular fact that Christians wanted to do things with books that were relatively new, and the Codex really worked for that. And then what happens is the Codex shows them possibilities that they hadn't even dreamed of when they adopt it. So all of a sudden it's possible to take the whole Old Testament and write it out in multiple 6 columns in Hebrew and in Hebrew transliterated to Greek and in multiple translations and compare them and find out things about the Bible you really couldn't find out if you had just dozens of scrolls and were bobbling them with each other. All of a sudden it's possible, as one of our heroes of that book, Eusebius, did, to take the history of the world and represent it graphically in a way that you can follow like a flip book, page after page. It becomes one of the most popular forms of history right down into the 18th and 19th centuries, and I ended up writing another book about that with another younger collaborator. So yeah, I think this moment shows us something absolutely fascinating to me, which is that the first thing you do is kind of, you see a need, you adopt a new form, and then the new form begins to give you ideas and exert pressures. And I don't actually think we've hit that stage yet in our current revolution. When I look at most websites, they look to me like Scribner's magazine in 1870. You've got a ribbon of text between ads, and the site itself costs money to put up, just the way Scribner's magazine did, but ideally you get enough advertising revenue to pay for it and make a little profit. And I think that we're very far from having leaped to a point where design on the World Wide Web, design in websites and whatever takes the place of websites, really exploits the possibilities of the new medium and shows us more of the things it can do.